For those that don't know me, be it friends, work colleagues, or someone that I've known in the past, you may not know this about me, but from the age of 8 years old and down over, I've suffered with some form of mental health. It all started with just severe shyness, which I wouldn't go out and play whatsoever. I wouldn't make friends. It used to have me mum and dad drive round the bend. We used to go on holiday. I wouldn't make friends. But as I got older, what I found out is that mental health, just severe shyness, quickly turned into social distancing. Didn't realise that I was actually becoming like that. It wasn't until I got older and got told what I was actually suffering from that I realised that I actually suffered from it when I was a teenager. What I done was I made a protective bubble, and that's what they call it. And it was my friends, so my close friends that I've knocked around with and I still knock around with to this day. They were my protective bubble. So when I went out shopping, out for a drink, things like that, I felt quite protective when I was a young'un. But what I didn't realise is that it would gradually get worse as I was getting older because I wasn't getting any help. I suppressed it and hid it quite well throughout school. I don't think the fact being is that I couldn't read or I couldn't spell very well because I was slight dyslexic at school, hence the reason why I was in the bottom classes. But school life went on. I hid it from a lot of people. Didn't even tell me mum and dad how I was feeling. And then I started to feel a little bit of health anxiety kicking in. Wasn't too strong, it was quite small. When I was late teens, you're going into 18, 19. But what I started to find out is that when I was getting invited out by my friends, I would say no, I didn't want to go out. And it wasn't that I didn't want to go out, it's to the fact being as I was too frightened to go out. So I used to make up excuses that I wouldn't have any money or I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. And life went on like this for a long, long time. Then I met my partner when I was 25. We had our first child within a year. Then I started to really realise that my health anxiety was getting way out of control, and so was social anxiety. To the fact being is I found that I was just like my mum done with me, which is one of the reasons why obviously I suffer with my mental health the way I do. Mental health has made me a natural worrier, just like my mum. So I would push it on me kids that this could hurt you, that could hurt you, this is dangerous for you, that's dangerous for you, stay away from there, stay away from here. What I didn't realise is I was slowly pushing my mental health onto them without me realising it. Didn't start figuring out until my eldest got to around about 4 or 5 year old when he was saying, "That's dangerous, mummy, that's dangerous, daddy." And that's when I knew I needed help. So what I done is I got in touch with the doctor. They put us into CBT therapy, which then realised after 6 months worth of sessions that it wasn't CBT therapy that I needed, because CBT therapy teaches you how to work with it. It wasn't that, because I've worked with it since I was 8 years old. I've hid it from everybody. What I needed to do was to dampen it right down, so I actually had to go to a proper therapist for a full year, and actually get to the bottom of my root of my core, which was severe shyness. They always state that something happened in your past that triggered it. It was my mum just pushing her natural worry onto me, which, because I was a severe shy child to start with that natural worry of life on top of it off my mum, it made me go out of control. I might have been a tit through school with it, which I probably was at times, but that wasn't me. It was just my mental health attacking us at times. And then also it's like when I'm walking through the street, if I come past somebody who I know from school, I won't say hello to you. I'll actually put my head down, thinking that you're thinking that I'm stupid for saying hello to you. It's crazy how mental health works. It's the same as when I'm driving past you in the car and you may wave to us and I may look as though I'm blanking you, but the thing is I'm that much concentrating on the road to try and not have a mental breakdown behind the wheel or have a mental breakdown in the middle of the street or in the middle of the shop that I do tend to walk past people. I might come across as ignorant, but I'm actually not. If you get to know us, you'll find I'm soft as hell, love to talk. But what I noticed is I had another child, a middle one, and I started pushing it onto him way too much. To the fact being is I've now have my eldest who's coming up 14 and my middle one who's 11. Both got some form of mental health. The eldest being frightened of death, which everybody's a little bit frightened of death, but not to the fact being is where you're frightened to go out when it's a dark night or walking around with his friends. My middle one, he's not as bad. He's got a little bit of fear of being unwell. He does get himself upset when he's just got a cold or things like that. But his is more of a social aspect. He won't make new friends. I've tried doing it, put them both into football to try and get them past, because when I did approach a doctor, when I was actually seeing a doctor myself, I asked, how do I dampen it down with my kids? The answer was, they should grow out of it. That's not the answer. I didn't grow out of it, so I know my kids are certainly not going to grow out of it. But my mental health didn't take a turn for its worst until I lost my brother. It started spiraling a little bit. I got to grieve a little bit in the house, but not as much as I wanted to grieve, because I had to be strong for my parents. And I didn't realise as it was happening, my mental health was taking a turn for its worse. My social mental health I'd got under control quite a bit, to the fact being as I could go to the shops, I could go out by myself without the family around us, which was great. I still found it pretty hard to say hello to people, and if I did say hello, I found that I would have a quick conversation because I would start stuttering. If I didn't start stuttering, I would actually come out and swear every now and then, which wasn't a nice thing when obviously you've just met somebody and started talking to them that you haven't seen for years. But it's the way I come across with my mental health. What I didn't realise is when my little daughter was born, who's now 3, that I had a slight higher case of health anxiety coming through my brother passing away. And she was a stillborn, and they had to resuscitate her on the day, which was quite a big shock for any parent. Which triggered my mental health, my health anxiety, and anyway, to go into overdrive. So when she was born, every little sniffle, when we got her home, after obviously she was kept in for a week, when we eventually got her home, every little sniffle, every little being sick, diarrhea or anything like that, I was thinking the worst, just like I think myself when I think the worst. So I was constantly on guard, night after night, day after day, physically draining my own body and mind. And what you don't realise, it cripples you. As she got older, I thought it would get better, my mental health, but it didn't. Because I didn't get no help on it, I thought I was fine. It wasn't until I started getting little pains in the chest of my own that it spiraled way out of control. I blue lighted myself at the hospital 3 times in 1 year. They put us on pills to try and sort my head out, which didn't work. If anything, made us worse. I thought I was on the verge of losing everything. My mental health took a turn for its worst back in the 2019 December, when I actually was starting to feel depression kicking in really bad. And I knew I had to come off the pills. I knew I needed to get help, proper help. And I got help at the beginning of 2020. I was off the pills. I'd been off them a good 4 weeks. I got 6 sessions, which managed to dampen my health anxiety down tenfold, which was great. I'm now on the mend a hell of a lot. But mental health is still there, plays a part in my life daily. You battle through it. It has its emotional wreck. But life was getting brilliant. Then obviously this shit comes along, this pandemic, which is the worst thing that could never happen with someone with a little bit of mental health. But I'm getting through it. I'm a hell of a lot stronger than I thought. Especially with the help that I got. I've managed no problem so far. Even my partner thinks so. I haven't been telling the kids, don't go there, make sure you got your mask on, make sure you got sanitizer in your pocket. I haven't been an absolute fanny with it, which I thought I would have been. I thought I would have went totally off the rails. I did take up smoking for a few months when it first happened, when we first got put in lockdown, which was a bit gutted considering I hadn't smoked a tab for about 9-10 years. But I'm back off them. Decided to kick the drink at the same time for a bit. Not that the drink affects my mental health too much. Tends to help you, if anything more. Tends to help us forget. That's what it used to do anyway. That's why I knew drink wasn't the answer. That's why I only used to drink when in moderation. But I find it, mental health's a strange one. I find it great to talk to people about it. Even strangers. Strangers that I've just met through football with the kids. It's absolutely mental how with the fact being is I can literally just come out to somebody and say, oh yeah, I suffer with mental health. I suffer with social anxiety and health anxiety. And a lot of people, including yourselves who's probably listening, it'll probably come across the fact being in a state that you come across as this one hell of a confident person. I did all the way through life. That was me. That was my way of hiding it. I was good at it. Very good at it. But what you didn't know is I was shitting myself daily of life. I was petrified of everything. As I say, I'm not on any pills now. I'm off everything. Back to work as normal. If anything, I feel as though I've come out a stronger character out of all of it. But the reason why I'm putting this out there is, just because you're male, it's okay to talk. Just because you're male, it's okay to have a cry. It's not just a female thing. Males suffer with mental health as well. But the problem is with society, males think that it's going to dent their ego. Trust us. Get it out there. Have a talk. Get it off your chest. Relieve it off your shoulders and you'll find life feels much better. Keeping it there, keeping it to yourself, and nobody knows why you're refusing to come out and why you're not coming here or doing this, and why are you giving these excuses all the time? Why are you not looking at us when I'm walking down the street? You're putting your head down. Why are you being arsey sometimes, a prick? When you come on alcohol, why do you be a little bit of a tit? Why do you come across as a sarcastic person? You'll lose friends. People will stop knocking on you. People will stop phoning you. They will stop coming out. That's what happens. Because they don't realise how you are, because you haven't told them. Tell them. It's mental how it works. You'll find that it'll allow you to start getting on with life, feeling a little bit more normal. It's mental how mental health affects you. It affects everybody in different ways. I'll give you a scenario. You can walk up to a zebra crossing, even though you have right of way to the cars, you'll still stand there hesitating, waiting and waiting, because you think you're being looked at, you're being judged. You're not. That's your mind working. Your mind works in funny ways. I used to go in restaurants and think that people were looking at us, watching us eating. Nobody was watching us eating. But that's what my mental health used to have us thinking. I used to get a bad head. I used to automatically think I had a brain tumour. I would actually go back and forwards with the doctors enough until they basically sent us for a brain scan. There was nothing there. Same with chest pains. I would go back and forwards for that many checkups on my chest and on my heart. Eventually they would send us for a proper scan. There's nothing there. That's what your mind does. It's mad. To the fact being is that it makes you go into the shop and something that should be so easy, picking a pair of trainers or picking a new TV or picking a new fridge. You've got to review everything and go through tons of options. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. I still do that. Mrs. Hates going shopping with us. Can't help that one. That one is one that I can never ever get rid of. Same with a car. Even though when I'm buying a car and it can be 2 years away, I will literally search for 2 years on a new car and what I'm going to buy. On the reviews, putting them piping against each other on how much I'm going to spend here and how much I'm going to spend there. It's crazy. And then also, one of the ones that's an absolute nightmare is with mental health is every time you're about to leave the house, for some particular reason, you always need to go for a pee, but you don't. But you do. It makes you think that you need a pee every time. And it's an absolute nightmare. I'm just going to the shops. The missus, I'll always be the last one out of the house. The missus will get mad. It's, how was your dad last? And it's because I've got to go for a pee before I end up going to the shops or going to football. I've got to go. Even if it could be just a trickle, I've got to make sure I go for a pee. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But hey, this is my little short story. I've got years of it to explain to people, as you can guess. But what I'm saying and what I'm trying to get out there is, obviously you've known me for years and I've hid this from a hell of a lot of people. My close friends know, my families know, and obviously the odd stranger here and there at football. But I'm trying to get it out there to everybody, to let everybody, look, I might have been a tit at school sometimes. You might pass us in the street and I mightn't say hello. But trust us, I don't mean it. It's just the way my mind works sometimes. It's shit. But say hello to us and I will talk to you. It may be fast. But the other thing I'm trying to get across is, don't be frightened to talk. Because you could leave it too late. And the next thing you end up doing the worst thing that you'd ever do. Leaving all your loved ones behind. And that's not what you want. Cherish the times you've got with your family. Life is short to start with. So, talk. Men and female, talk. Kids, talk. You know, get it off your shoulders. Get it out there. The more people that know, you'll find, the easier it becomes. It's crazy. Just getting it off your chest. Just me talking to this phone and record my own voice to on the hope that one day I may actually put it out there to people. I'm an emotional wreck with it. I talk about it, I cry. But it's just one of those things. I can't talk about it on a serious note, as in when I need to take time off work. I just basically fall apart if I've ever got to take time off work with it. And I certainly can't do public speeches. Anything that has to do with wedding speeches, Gav knows. I did nothing but cry my eyes out. My own wedding speech did nothing but cry my eyes out. I can't do public speeches. That's the social anxiety part. It cripples us. Really cripples us. Obviously, you can take the beta blockers if you want, but as I say, they're devil pills. They do dampen it down, but you didn't want to be on pills. Get your mind right by talking, finding out what your little triggers are. Works tenfold. Just look at me. I've got another friend. Suffers really badly with it yourself. And he's managed to get past it all by doing the gyms and also not going to drink on the head, which was one of his triggers. And he's come through it, flying colours, just a little bit like myself. And he does the exact same thing, talks. You might have heard his podcast. You need to talk. Don't bottle it up. You bottle it up, you're gonna end up making yourself ill, to the fact being is you could end up doing the inevitable. But this is out there for anybody who take the time to listen, because it's quite long. He mightn't even understand half of it. But just for God's sake, man, talk. There's people that still know me in work, people that I still say hello to, including obviously yourselves, old work colleagues, old friends from school. You haven't got a clue that I went through this. That's how good people are at hiding it. Just don't judge people. Don't. Mental health is shit. It is. But what they don't need is people judging them. Don't need it at all. Jesus, I got sick of taking time off work with it. Done my heating. It's only these last few years that, because I've managed to dampen it doing bits and pieces, that I've managed to do full years or full weeks in at work, you know. I got nicknamed Sick Note because of the fact being is I couldn't do a full week or I couldn't do a full year without a sick day. And it was because of my mental health. And they're the little telltale signs, you know. It's taking a lot of time off work and not coming out as often as you used to, segregating yourself, putting yourself in a little room. They're little telltale signs that you're coming down with mental health, or your friends coming down with mental health. So don't go out and judge people. There's a lot of little mental health issues out there, and there was a stigma on it years ago, but now it's becoming more and more out in the open. And there's dads out there with it, just like me. I'm 40-year-old. I'm data-free. I'm married. I've suffered with it since I was 8. If not beforehand. The seed was probably dropped years before that. Just didn't really realise. Or I can't remember that far back anyway. But as long as you get it out there and you get to talking with people, it works. Works a hell of a lot. You'll still be a little bit of a nervous wreck, but you'll learn how to control things if you get the help. Try and avoid some of the pills. Some of them are nasty, but some of them work for people. Therapy works for other people. Pills work for other people. Therapy worked brilliant for me. Pills do not work for me, but they work brilliant for other people that I've talked to. They just weren't for me. Knocked me worse than I actually was. I find talking about it, as my missus says, I can talk for England. Which is a strange one, because if I was actually to walk past you and I knew you from school, I wouldn't say hello to you. I would actually walk straight past you. You probably wouldn't recognise us in any way, but I would walk straight past you. But hey, I hope this gets out there and helps a few people. And obviously you'll understand us a little bit more if you ever do bump into us. Thanks for listening anyway. See you later.